Let's go back to our earlier report where we have our guest from Maiduguri, the UNICEF chief for Maiduguri Field Office, Phuong Nguyen, who is joining me on the news to talk about the recent report from the UNICEF. Well, thank you so much for joining us first and foremost. Nigerian children continue to suffer the impact of this grave violation. According to your report, there has been 25 attacks on schools so far. This year, with 141,440 students abducted. How has the UNICEF been responding to this crisis?
Yes, thank you very much. And indeed, the figures that you quoted has just been in 2021 alone. UNICEF has been working very closely with the government of Nigeria, our partners, communities, and other interested partners to make sure that we're responding to the needs of these boys and girls who are deeply affected by the conflict. So one of those things that we're trying to do is to advocate for the release of children who have been recruited into and being used by armed groups and armed actors. Another area of work we do is, of course, to also prevent and respond to the needs of boys, girls, and women who are survivors of sexual violence. This is something that has been an ongoing issue and has intensified in recent years, in fact. We are also working with the communities, religious leaders, the governments, of course, and our partners to make sure that children who are reintegrated back into their communities are accepted or not stigmatized and are provided with the necessary care and support, as well providing them with education and skills training so that they can seamlessly return to their communities and reintegrate within those communities. We continue to work with the government also to make sure that we are providing support in terms of advice to their policies, to their legal provisions, to make sure that children are always protected first and foremost, and that we continue to prevent the grave violations that are being committed against them.
Right, just like you said that you're working with different agencies. When we talk about the future of the West and Central Africa region, the children cannot be left out. In fact, they are the future. How responsive have the government, local authorities, and your partners been to your call to action?
Yes, in fact, we are working our advocacy, UNICEF's advocacy with our partners, and most importantly with the government, has yielded big changes. We see that in terms of the abduction since 2017, it actually has gone down. We are working with the Joint Civilian Task Force, and we see that since 2017, a total of 2,000 children have been released from the ranks of these armed groups. So we are working very closely, and they are very much responsive to the needs, and they realize the importance of making sure that children at front and center are supported, and the type of support that we're providing include the prevention of their recruitment into the armed groups in the first place.
Right, Ms. Nguyen, in all of these, perpetrators of these crimes cannot be left out to continue along this path. So if they've been so evasive, how can then they be brought to justice?
Yes, for us, it's important not only to remove the children from the ranks of these armed groups, but also working very closely with the government and looking at the legal provision and the types of services and support that the government can also provide to make sure that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. This is ongoing work at this time, and UNICEF, working very closely with other agencies, are making sure that that type of technical support and legal provision and also the types of laws and practices from the government side and the community is always protective of children. So the perpetrators, we are really calling on all parties to the conflict to make sure that children are protected and that perpetrators will be looked at and prosecuted for the crimes committed against children.
Anyways, we look forward to seeing this chilling reports being reduced very drastically to ensure that the children have a very good future ahead. Now, UNICEF Chief for Maiduguri Field Office, Phuong Nguyen, thank you so much for speaking with TVC News.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.